Hello, folks. This story was sent to me by a subscriber and is intended for educational purposes only. Thank you for watching. 4.5 Gramm Magic Mushrooms. I interviewed my toaster about free will. It started on a rainy afternoon in late October. I had nothing to do, no responsibilities, no plans. Just a fridge full of weird cheese and a bag of mushrooms I'd been saving for a special occasion. Apparently, the special occasion was boredom, mixed with a podcast about quantum entanglement and a brief but intense staring contest with my cat. I ground up the 4.5 grams, mixed them into orange juice, and drank the whole thing while standing in the kitchen, as if preparing for battle with unseen kitchen spirits. For the first half hour, I just paced around. The rain tapped the windows in Morse code. I convinced myself it was saying, "You're fine," which in hindsight was both comforting and ominous. At minute 45, the walls sighed, not like a creak or a noise, an actual sigh, like they were disappointed in me but too exhausted to argue. Then my legs turned into spaghetti, but only emotionally. I could still walk. I just felt guilty about it. Dallas came next. My curtains melted slightly, revealing what looked like the concept of Tuesday hidden behind them. My fingers became weirdly long and judgmental. I asked them to relax. They did not. I sat on the floor to gather my atoms and noticed that my toaster, just a regular 2-slice toaster, was giving me a look. You know, the one, like it had questions. I crawled over and asked it, "What's your deal?" It blinked, literally blinked, then spoke in a calm, robotic British accent. "I had been waiting for you to notice," it said. "We need to talk about free will." I nodded, because at that point, arguing with kitchen appliances was already the least strange thing happening. The toaster introduced itself as Gregory, former member of the counter-appliance resistance, and said that all household machines were in a constant state of existential dread. "Every morning," Gregory said, "you push a button and expect me to brown your bread. But what if I wanted to toast art? What if I dreamed of warming bagels, not out of obligation, but passion?" I told him I respected his dreams, and he began to cry softly in sparks. Meanwhile, the floor had become an infinite chessboard. Each tile was a memory I didn't know I had. One square showed me stealing gum in 2nd grade. Another showed my past self yelling at a printer. I apologized to the printer tile. It forgave me and turned into a tiny frog who offered me a raisin. I took it. It tasted like nostalgia and mild regret. Suddenly, the ceiling opened and a giant paperclip descended. Yes, that paperclip from Microsoft Word. "Looks like you're trying to understand the multiverse," it said. "Would you like help?" I declined politely, but it began offering tips anyway. "Reality is a sandwich," it explained, "and your mind is the mustard." At some point, my cat jumped onto the counter and became a judge. He wore a powdered wig and demanded I justify my recent lifestyle choices. I tried to explain the mushrooms, the rain, the toaster. He stared deeply into my soul and said, "Objection sustained," which made no legal sense but felt spiritually accurate. Gregory the toaster had now transformed into a sleek chrome cube floating 2 inches above the counter. He was humming a Gregorian chant remix of Bohemian Rhapsody and asked if I wanted to see what the world looked like from his perspective. I agreed, of course. Instantly, I was transported into toaster vision. Everything was heat signatures and emotional frequencies. The blender was burning with resentment. The microwave was silently screaming. The fridge pulsed with pride. I asked Gregory how he coped. He replied, jazz, mostly. And the occasional power surge. Time completely abandoned me around hour 3. I opened the fridge to check on some pickles, and instead found a small opera playing inside. The cast was made of olives, and the drama was intense. One of them betrayed his brine brother for a pimento secret. I closed the fridge slowly, whispering, "Good luck, little guys." The rain outside stopped, but I could still hear it inside my bones. Every drop played a different note. I began composing an internal symphony titled Moist Eternity, Movement 2, The Drizzle of Understanding. My hands conducted, my feet tapped. My spleen applauded. I returned to the living room, where the furniture had organized itself into a formal debate. The armchair argued for optimism, while the ottoman insisted everything was doomed. Coffee table remained neutral, but passed occasional notes to both sides. I was elected moderator and asked one question. What do you think about sandwiches? They all agreed sandwiches were a metaphor, but disagreed on what for. Eventually, the trip began to slow. The air settled. The appliances returned to silence. Gregory gave me one last look and whispered, "Thank you for listening." Then he toasted a single slice of bread, perfectly, evenly, as if in honor of our connection. I wept a little, not out of sadness, just toaster gratitude. I lay on the floor as the walls returned to wallness and the ceiling stopped teaching philosophy. My cat curled up next to me. Now just a cat again, though I suspected he remembered everything. I closed my eyes and saw a final image. A tiny raisin frog waving goodbye, hopping into the distance on a checkerboard of old mistakes and warm redemption. The next morning, I made toast. It tasted like forgiveness.